From what I remember, it all came down to one night that my mom had put her foot down that I had to eat. I was somehow able to convince her that I'd start Monday. Well, Monday came, I upped my calories, but I had no idea how exactly to gain weight correctly. It frustrated me just eating a slightly bigger meal, feeling less hungry, and being less tired at night. I didn't understand, but nonetheless, the next day I tried again. I woke up, actually ate before my morning workout and after it. Well, Wednesday came, and this day was different. I weighed myself. Now, here's what you need to know. The week before my mom pressured me into eating regularly, she weighed me for the first time since I had lost weight, before a doctor's appointment. I knew my weight then, but when I increased my food by 100 calories? I thought I would have gained weight. Well, I was wrong. I had lost weight. It felt as if for the first time I was upset at myself for losing weight. When I came to this realization, I finally did my research. How much was I supposed to be eating for my height, and considering how underweight I was? I was astonished. I actually cried. It's something that's hard to explain. I mean, this control in the deficit had gotten so severe to the point I was this surprised. Well, that day I ate. I ate to the point that everything I used to restrict was at least tasted once, if that makes any sense. I continued my day. I went to walk despite my overfullness, and I still ate. The next day I didn't exactly eat. The thing with undereating is that your metabolism slows down. So if I ate that much, which was maybe once every 2 weeks, I would still be full after not eating for 2 days. So I ate less than I did before I had upped my calories. That night, I was so nauseous, I guess it didn't all find a place in my system. I didn't purposely hurl, just to make that clear. The entire time I struggled with eating, purging was not possible for me. It just didn't work. I felt bad though. I felt guilty for something I couldn't even control. The next morning, I'd planned to follow my routine, but I felt weak. I wanted to do my workout that pushed me to my limits, but I could barely even breathe to go down the stairs. I was convinced to just let that one day go without exercise, but I didn't know that would be my last for a while. I did something special that day though and hung out with my best friend at the time. But the pain in my stomach really killed my joy. I couldn't handle it. Honestly, I felt if my body had given up that day, I would just accept it and not be surprised. My mom spent all night attending me, but woke me up with my bags packed and the car ready to go. I was going to the hospital. When I arrived at the hospital, I was weak, in pain, and hopeless. I didn't understand. I thought it was just stomach pain. I waited and waited, which sounds easy, but I couldn't even keep my eyes open or sit up on my own. When I was examined, the rate of my heartbeat, respiratory system, and weight were the most concerning. Once it was noted that I was severely dehydrated, by 10 a.m. they started me on an IV. When I was admitted to the eating disorder unit, I was set many rules. Start off, avoid too much movement. No pacing the room back and forth or secret exercise. Number 2, I'm only allowed to eat what they provide me to ensure the calories consumed are precise. Number 3, no one but the nurse is allowed to be in the room during a meal. And number 4, if I'm not mistaken, I had 45 minutes to finish my food. Number 5, I wasn't allowed to use the bathroom until an hour after I finished eating. They remind you of this rule before you eat so you can relieve yourself before your meal. Number 6, I need to have my hands visible at all times while eating. No jackets and sleeves rolled up. Number 7, depending on the state of the patient, we must sit down at the table to eat, avoiding the bed. On number 8 that I do mention later on, if I do not eat all my food and instead leave an item such as mashed potatoes, I'm not left off the hook. I must replenish it with a boost, a nutritional shake that comes in chocolate or vanilla used to trade off leftovers. When my first meal was announced, honestly I was excited. It was this relief that I didn't have to fight with my mind on whether to eat or not, but instead have to. Food arrived, but my excitement was gone. Felt this immense wave of guilt, but not about the food. It was about how I was supposed to act while eating. I would think they won't take me seriously if I'm glad to eat this, or everyone else must hate recovery, so I should too. And I want to address that. If you are in recovery trying to push down this sense of relief that you're free, I want to say that I've never heard anyone say that they regret recovery, and I'm proud to be part of that statement. You do not have to prove your health to anyone. You need to stand up for yourself, know who you are, and remember that voice, those thoughts can't physically harm you. This voice might be the steering wheel, but at the end of the day, you push the gas pedal. The more you detach from those thoughts, you will see how the quality of your life changes. I didn't know this back then. Instead, I felt anxious and guilty for having this large plate of food in front of me. I remember I was unable to eat the green beans, and though I was hesitant, I swapped it for a boost. I was surprised to find it tasting fine, but it left me very full. At the time, my meals looked big and felt overwhelming, but after the first 3 days, they became larger. The amount of food I ate slowly increased in the hospital in order to avoid refeeding syndrome. Refeeding syndrome syndrome was discovered when some survivors of war were very malnourished and suddenly fed large amounts of food with the intention to save them, but instead became ill and passed away. I still endured abdominal pain, but it later became sharp gas pain. I was then put on a lactose-free diet, so now I was having coconut milk yogurt or vanilla oat milk and so on. I did all kinds of arts and crafts at the hospital. I did painting, I was introduced to diamond art, I also did bracelets, coloring, word search, and so many other activities. I know I was supposed to stay there longer. There was still ideas, concepts that I had to learn. I was there for 2 weeks, I'd say, but when my parents wanted me out, I was out. At the end of the day, there was nothing more that I wanted than to be home. I wanted to eat ice cream, go to stores, wear other clothes than pajamas, eat actual food with seasoning, but most importantly, be with my family. Time had come, as I said earlier, I was released. I felt as if I was walking on air just to walk down the hallway of the hospital. Exaggeration, of course, but that's how I felt considering I hadn't walked around in days. The most kept rules in my house for a while were that I couldn't cook my own food, see the process, or make suggestions, such as no, don't add butter. And I had to eat a regular diet, no low carb, low calorie, no fat nonsense. When I came home for dinner, I had one of my favorites, my mom's spaghetti and meatballs, with the addition of broccoli. I did go out for ice cream, something I hadn't done in a while. My dad took me to stores and I just felt happy to be myself again. It wasn't always perfect. There were days where I tried to control my meals, avoid certain foods, or fall into a commotion of self-hatred. Some days were hard, but most days I was happy to eat whatever I wanted, to go to the grocery store and pick out regular cereals, those boxes of snack packs, and real bread. I was grateful for the help I got because now I want everyone to know that recovery is possible.